From the alley-oops at Keyshaw to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. And you know what, Horse? The 49ers got some undrafted free agents. But Alex, is there anyone that you're super excited about that was signed?
Yeah. Like, totally, yeah. Listen.
Oh, Valley Girl.
Listen, I get really giddy when we try to talk about Justin Hilliard. All right, I really, really like the linebacker from Ohio State. In all honesty, Ant, you and I both probably felt the same about this guy. I think we both felt this was probably our favorite linebacker coming out of Ohio State, or close to it.
Ooh, I would have went Baron Browning.
Baron Browning too. I mean, yes, absolutely, yes. Listen, he is a phenomenal talent. He is very athletic, gets downhill really, really fast. He fits the athletic linebacking mold that the 49ers have kind of gone after with their guys. Quick, fast, aggressive, explosive. They don't typically move around like a linebacker. They're definitely significantly more athletic at the linebacker position. I think he's going to fit in really well. The only questions I have with him are going to be a little bit more, maybe not coverage-based, because I actually liked him in coverage. It's going to be tackling open space against elite-level talent, because at the end of the day, you're not facing elite-level talent at the college level. But man, I feel this guy could give Al-Shaair potentially a run from his money, maybe not this year, but in the future. This could absolutely be a replacement guy for them, and we've seen what they've been able to do with this type of undrafted talent in the past.
Yeah, this is what they do, right? Al-Shaair, Flanagan Foles. I mean, they literally get undrafted guys and develop them at the linebacker position. It was a great signing. You know, he's got great measurables. He's over 6'3", and he can do it all. You know, he can really run. I think the questions for him has always been injuries, and I think that's why he went undrafted. But I think athleticism-wise, you're not really worried about him. And he does a lot of good things. He was able to cover Freiermuth out in space. You know, I mean, he's able to cover these big tight ends. So that's something that is definitely impressive and something to keep an eye on. I'm not sure if he's going to make the team, but if he does, he could be a great special teams contributor and somebody that could ultimately really help the team. I think he's a developmental guy that maybe, who knows, he could shock everyone and make this roster, but it's going to be hard because that linebacking core is no joke to make.
Yeah, I think he's an interesting signing because Justin Hilliard, if you read the scouting reports, he can't cover man-to-man. But if you watch video of him, he, like you said, I've seen that game, or highlights from that game, where he covers Freiermuth, who's a top-level tight end. I've seen other videos of him making great plays in coverage. So I don't know if that's necessarily true. I do agree. I think his best bet is making the team as a big-time special teams player. But I like him. I think he's a good player.
No, agreed.
Yeah.
There's another linebacker that we went out and got to as an undrafted guy, Elijah Sullivan from Kansas State. Ant, how you feel about him?
Yeah, like it. Overall, you know, once again, you're adding another linebacker. These are what they do, and they develop them. We saw it last year with Jonah. You know, they got him, and then, you know, he didn't really make the roster. So you wonder how many of these guys are going to make the roster and how many are they going to store on the practice squad as potential, you know, special teams guys or guys that they could bring up eventually. 49ers went through several linebackers last year, so they know they need to have a depth there because they just had injuries, you know, that they were suffering. They did bring in Nathan Jerry, and I think him and Al-Shaair are going to compete for that third linebacker spot. And they have Flanagan Foles as well, so it's going to be a competition. But Elijah Sullivan, they had to be high on him to bring him in. They only brought in, you know, 4 guys officially, you know, from, you know, that could possibly make this team that are undrafted free agents. So I don't see why he couldn't make the roster.
Yeah, Sullivan, they guaranteed him $125,000.
I like it.
Which is huge for an undrafted free agent. So I'd say, based on that thought process, he has the best chance to make the team. He's a smaller backer. He's in the 210, 215 range, like Flanagan Foles. So I think that's the main type of guy he'd be competing with, is Demetrius Flanagan Foles. So it's interesting. He's real athletic. He's just a bit undersized.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think I have more questions with his ability to cover in space, but he did show drastic improvement. 2019, he had 4 pass defenses. He didn't have a single pass defense his entire college career leading up to that.
Yeah.
So he has shown some improvement in that area. And so I think maybe you had a guy like D'Amico Ryan sitting there who's feeling, hey, you know what? maybe we can get something out of this guy that no one else can. The smaller size and stature makes you a little concerned at the linebacker position, but D'Amico Ryans knows what he's doing. He played linebacker at the NFL level. I don't think he would sign off on something like this if he didn't think there was something there that he could get out of this guy.
Could it also show scheme change?
Possibly.
They drafted Hufanga, right, and they thought he might be able to play a hybrid role, safety / linebacker, and now they got a guy like this that they bring in that's a similar size. Maybe that's a scheme change or at least something, a wrinkle that they're planning on putting in the defense.
That is entirely possible, my dude. Entirely possible. Next guy is a receiver. They didn't draft a receiver, but they did go out and get themselves one, an undrafted guy. Austin Watkins from UAB. Forrest, how you feel about this guy?
Austin Watkins is a Kendrick Bourne mold type player. He's 6'2", about 210 pounds. He's not a blazer, but he's not slow. He ran, I think, a 4.52. He's known for making tough contested catches over the middle, and that'll have to be his niche to make the NFL. Is that he's got to be that guy that'll grab you that 6 to 8 yard first down over the middle and take the hit. He's definitely made a lot of big plays at UAB. He's got a pretty fun highlight film to watch. So I think he's an interesting guy. He's a guy I wouldn't be shocked if he got kept around, at least on the practice squad.
Look, at the end of the day, 6'3", 210 pounds, like you brought up and mentioned. At the end of the day, this guy is big. He's a big body. He definitely fit into the possession role. His junior campaign, 1,000 yards receiving. So this guy can get it done. He knows how to go up and get the ball in space. He can get open. I know it's Conference USA talent, but there are plenty of talented players that come out of Conference USA. Look at Kylan Granson coming out of SMU. He did fantastic there. He did fantastic at SMU, and he went in the 4th round of this draft. He was projected to go 7th round in most mock drafts. So this guy, I think, can have a pretty good role. It's going to be hard to make the roster with some of the other wide receiver names that they have. I definitely can see this guy getting stashed in the practice squad for a couple of years and developing. But I like his upside, I like his potential. 57 catches, 6 touchdowns too that junior campaign. A little bit of a down year in the COVID 2020 season, but he only played 7 games, so it's really hard to judge. He played half the amount of games. It's hard. It's hard with that because I don't know also from UAB whether or not they had to change a quarterback, how many guys on their team opted out and didn't end up playing. So at the end of the day, I don't want to knock him on that. I will take a look at that 1,000-yard campaign and say, you know what? I like this guy as an undrafted option for the 49ers. And who knows, down the road, this guy could be a big piece in the offense.
Yeah, and he's Sammy Watkins' cousin, so you got that, the little name drop thing.
Sure.
But as far as him goes, the 6'3", 210, it makes me think that the 49ers definitely have a role for a big receiver in their offense. Jalen Hurd, Jawan Jennings, Kevin White, all big, 6'3" plus receivers that have big bodies. So that's what they're looking for, somebody that can, fit that role. Last year, you had Hurd injured. Jawan Jennings ended up getting hurt. Kevin White came up very, sparingly. So maybe this guy's trying to fit into that role, but I think he is a developmental guy and somebody they plan on stashing and hopefully developing into, a power slot down the road if he pans out. If you ever notice, the 49ers usually have big receivers on their practice squad, so that way they can emulate other teams' big players. This guy has similar size, to DK Metcalf. He won't have the speed, but I think that's what they use Kevin White for, and these guys will be able to emulate those possession and big body receivers. Maybe that is what they're looking at because you have to fill out these practice squads and you need guys that can help make your team better. And if they can't make them better on the field with your team that year, they can make them better through practice. So that might be a role for him. But he does have strong hands and good hands, and he runs good routes, and he's a good possession receiver. So I like his film.
I agree with you there. And look, we got one more undrafted name to drop right here, and it's a tight end. And this is a position I think all of us probably in this room feel like tight ends are. It's not the most secure position in San Francisco. I know people think our tight end room is really good, but they're overinflating George Kittle's importance because if George Kittle goes down, and George Kittle has been going down, there's not a whole lot of depth. So they go out and bring in Josh Pederson, son of Doug Pederson, played at Louisiana Monroe. Listen, I think at the end of the day, if this kid had an actual 2020 campaign, there's a chance he could have actually been drafted because he had a pretty solid junior campaign, 567 yards and 9 touchdowns playing for Louisiana Monroe. However, COVID year, COVID season, not the case. Targets go down. The amount of games, they only played 2 less games, but his targets went down, yards went down, yards per reception went down. So there's some concerns there. I don't know if he's going to be a great route running option in San Francisco right off the get-go in terms of his ability to run routes and get open in space, but I don't think he's a willing blocker. He's not a great blocker. Think like Ross Dwelley, right? Willing blocker, not always the best blocker. he could end up being a guy who can make the room as a third tight end, fourth tight end, potentially, or he gets stashed on the practice squad, getting ready to go. I think that's most likely where he ends up and what he ends up doing. But I like his potential. I like what he could be. And you know what, boys? I don't know if you guys knew this. He can pass. Completed one pass for 33 yards in college. So, you know, he can run routes, he can block for you, he can paint your fence, and he can pass. So there's that.
You know what? I remember us watching film and me bringing him up during the Sleepers episode, or before the Sleepers episode. He was someone we almost put on there just because the fact that his dad, was an NFL coach and played in the NFL, you have to at least take a look at it. But I liked his receiving skills. He's definitely not there for his blocking. He's there for his receiving. But there's potential there. I don't think that he's ready to make the roster this year. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say he will. I think he's a definite possibility on the practice squad. That's part of the reason Chase Harrell is gone. And that's what we were talking about before. They got rid of Chase Harrell so they would have a spot on the 90-man roster for him. He's it. Daniel Helm may be on the practice squad, but they're going to need to make some cuts. But this guy at least is a guy that has a smart football IQ that can catch the ball. Needs to improve his blocking, but you never know. You might strike on somebody that has put in a lot of work and got better.
The reason Josh Pederson didn't get drafted is pretty simple. He's 235 and ran a 4.8. A little too small and a step too slow from those measurements. But if you watch his video, he gets open.
You think 238 is too small in today's NFL?
Running a 4.8.
So you have to run faster than the 4.8. What do you think Ross Dwelley runs, and how big is he?
Ross Dwelley runs a 6.1.
I'm just saying Ross Dwelley's not that much bigger, and he's definitely not that much faster.
Well,
if
I thought
he
was bigger.
I'm just saying. I'm just asking you if you think 238 is too
No,
small.
I was just saying that's why he didn't get drafted.
Oh, that's understandable. But do you think it's too small?
No.
I'm just wondering. I mean, go ahead. I mean, I was just asking a question.
If you watch his tape, he gets open. Like you guys said, not a great blocker, but he tries. He's kind of one of those guys. He's not a great athlete, but a football player.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know that he ever plays in the NFL, but he's a football player. Like, he's smart. He does what he's supposed to do.
Right.
Being honest with him, man. I like it, Horse. You're letting him down easy. You did it. You got here. You have a chance. But you know what? You might not ever make it.
Coaching might be in your future.
Hey, let's hope it's not.
What triggered that? The he tries?
Oh, man. You know what? We wish the best for you always.
Always. Definitely. I hope he pans out.
I hope he pans out too. But we'll see. And if you do go into coaching, learn from Pops' mistakes. Let us know. Oh, wait, no. You're not going to let us know anything yet because I just realized something. We just signed a guy, right? Well, technically, we didn't sign a guy. The NFL
we were forced a guy.
We were forced a guy by the NFL. But, it's the same thing, right? It's the no fun league. You don't get to pick our international players. We get them thrown in our faces.
They did get to choose that they would accept a player. That is true. They did. They said, yes, we'll accept players from international.
You know what?
It's true. They did.
Alex.
Uh-oh.
Don't be disrespectful. Okay. He's the man.
Are you looking? Are you pulling something up? What are you?
Yeah, I was gonna look this up right now.
Oh, okay.
Because this guy has some pretty darn impressive stats.
Okay. While Horse gets the stats ready,
I have them ready.
Let's introduce you to the gentleman. His name is Alfredo.
Alfredo
Gutierrez.
Gutierrez.
Yeah.
6'8", 341 pounds.
And you can't teach that.
But those people that don't understand how this works, the 49ers weren't actually able to select what player they were going to get. The NFL gave it to them at random. In fact, the entire NFC West agreed to be in this program, and they all got different players from, international players. And the 49ers were allotted this guy, and he just happens to be a really big offensive lineman that, could possibly have upside. But the thing about it is, he's exempt on your roster. He's exempt on your practice squad. You get to keep an open roster spot. So it really has zero effect on you. You could store this guy on there and develop him, and maybe he could turn into something, maybe he doesn't. But I think it's a win-win situation for the Niners.
What we're doing here is we're not putting enough respect on his name.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about a 2019 national champion.
Okay.
For the Monterey Tech Wild Rams.
Is that a very prestigious program?
National champs.
Okay, my bad. Sorry.
Foolish. Okay. National champion in college. Winning pedigree. Forced onto an NFL roster. I don't know. He's huge.
I mean, he's really big. And, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I haven't really saw a whole lot of film on this guy to break him down. But, I mean, he's 6'8". He's 341 pounds, and you can't teach that.
You can't teach that!
The good news is that when he throws the pads on, still 6'8", 341 pounds.
It's true.
Actually, he weighs a little bit more because that equipment's pretty heavy.
Well, aren't you guys interested just to see how he does measure up, though?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious.
You never know.
Listen, this isn't anything to, like, get ridiculously... there's no reason to mark out over this, right? Because there have been big guys who come into the league before, huge body dudes that come in, haven't played a whole lot of, high level...
Lawrence Okoye.
High level football. And they don't work out.
Right.
Even if they take the time to stick around the practice squad, they just haven't worked out. That doesn't mean it can't happen. That doesn't mean it won't happen. This guy could very well be the first guy to do that and get over that hump. But am I putting any eggs in that basket?
By the way, one famous guy has been produced by this program.
Okay, who's
of international players.
All right.
He played for the Vikings. His name is Babatunde Ayagbusi, better known as Dabakato or Commander Aziz in the WWE.
It's true.
So maybe Alfredo can put some pasta on that.
I mean, there's going to be some sauce. The question is, can this guy compete with the 49ers offensive line? And I think it's going to be something, at least a side note to watch during training camp.
It's
just to keep an eye
pay
on.
attention to. It's interesting.
Yeah, and the fact is, we have zero idea how athletic he is as far as can he fit Kyle Shanahan's system. But I mean, at least he's huge.
Can I be honest with you? This seems ridiculous that the NFL teams wouldn't get the opportunity to select which guys they want if they opt into the program.
I agree.
It feels like Trent Baalke forcing players onto Harbaugh. That's what it feels like.
Well, you would think that they'd want these guys to have the best opportunity to be successful. So you'd want to make sure that an offensive lineman going to the 49ers is athletic and can play in Kyle Shanahan's system.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that NFL cares is a bunch of malarkey, bullpucky? They don't really care?
I'm just saying, I mean, just make sure these guys can, have the most success and make a team.
Listen here. Let us know what you think. Are you excited for the pasta man, Alfredo Gutierrez?
Alfredo!
Or are you more excited about some of these other guys? Justin Hilliard's. Oh, man. Justin Hilliard's. Mr. Watkins. Let us know in the comment section down below right now. And while you're down there having a ball, like horses having a ball right now, make sure you hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. You really like pasta?
Horses putting some Parmesan on this.
Hit that subscribe button. Smash that notification bell too while you're at it. That way you get notified for more glorious content and more great one-liners like Pasta Man. You don't want to miss Pasta Man breakdowns. You don't want to miss tasty, hasty breakdowns. You don't want to miss incredible, fantastic nicknames. We got it all here on this podcast.
Hey,
Sorry, my bad. I'm calm now. We're good. But you don't want to miss any of this great content, and you don't want to miss Wednesday's live stream.
Yeah, why do we have so many forks at the table? That's always the question. But this is going to be a lot of fun. On Wednesday, we're going to have a great live stream, and I can't wait to see what the schedule is going to look like. I get excited for this every year. I'm not sure why. The NFL used to do it more of a surprise, like all of a sudden, tonight we're posting, and now it's become even a bigger deal. Everyone starts getting into it, and I'm going to get into it too.
We like football a lot.
It's true.
I'm sure you do too. That's why you're still here at the end of the episode.
It's accurate. It's very accurate indeed. And until Wednesday...
I was talking to them, horse, not you.
Oh.
Yeah, because they're still here.
Right.
And until Wednesday, you don't have to stay here the whole time. But we'll see you on Wednesday for that live stream. And until then, you stay safe.
Remember the right way.
It's always the 49ers way.
And the pasta way. Is a receiver. They didn't draft a receiver, but they did go out and get themselves one, an undrafted guy. Austin Walker from UAB. Horst
Watkins.
Oh. How do you feel about this guy?
Austin Watkins is a Kendrick Bold. Is a Kendrick